Stop. Before you put one more item into your suitcase for your next trip, I need you to look at what I am holding. This is a packing cube. For the last 10 years, we have been told this is the ultimate travel hack. We love them. They keep our socks organized. They separate our clean clothes from our dirty ones. And they make us feel in control of the chaos of packing. But I am here to tell you that the game has changed. In 2026, this beloved organizational tool has become one of the single biggest triggers for security delays, baggage searches, and missed connections at major airports around the world. If you are still using these, you are unknowingly painting a target on your own luggage. Let me tell you about a couple I met on a flight last month, Mr. and Mrs. Henderson. They were celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary with a dream cruise leaving from Miami. They were experienced travelers. They packed beautifully. Their checked bags were filled with these cubes, perfectly organized, perfectly compressed. They checked their bags in Chicago and flew to Miami. They made their connection, but their bags did not. Why? Because deep in the bowels of O'Hare Airport, a new generation CT scanner looked at their luggage. It didn't see organized shirts. It saw incredibly dense, opaque bricks of organic material that its algorithms couldn't identify. It flagged the bags as a potential explosive threat. By the time a human agent could manually retrieve the bags, break the locks, unzip every single cube, rummage through their underwear, and clear the bags, their flight to Miami was halfway over the country. The Hendersons boarded their anniversary cruise with nothing but the clothes on their backs and their small carry-ons. No formal wear for dinner, no swimsuits, no comfort items. This isn't just about organization anymore. It's about whether your essential belongings arrive when you do. Today, I'm going to show you why it's time to throw these away, and exactly what you need to use instead to ensure you sail through security in 2026. Hi everyone, I'm Sophia. For 15 years, I have been a flight attendant on major international routes. I have logged millions of miles, and I have seen every possible travel scenario you can imagine. My job isn't just to serve you drinks at 30,000 feet. It's to handle the fallout when things go wrong on the ground. I am the one comforting the passenger crying in 14C because their luggage is lost. I am the one handing out basic amenity kits to seniors whose medication packed in their checked bag didn't arrive. I am known as the guardian of travel because I believe that travel should be joyous, especially in your golden years. You have earned these trips. You deserve to travel with dignity, ease, and peace of mind. But the travel industry, airlines, TSA, airport security, they change the rules constantly, and they rarely tell you. They install new technology that changes how they see your bags. And suddenly, the packing methods that worked for 20 years are now liabilities. I am here to bridge that gap. I'm here to protect you from the stress that you don't even know is coming. So please, grab a notepad. We're going deep today, and what I'm about to tell you could save your next vacation. Let's start with the biggest offender, the compression packing cube. You know the ones. They have an extra zipper around the side. You stuff them full of clothes. Then you zip that second zipper around, and it squeezes all the air out, compressing a mountain of sweaters into a small, hard pancake. Seniors love these because we want to fit as much as possible into smaller, lighter bags to avoid heavy lifting. It seems like a brilliant idea. Here is what the luggage industry isn't telling you. Major airports in the US, like Atlanta, Chicago O'Hare, JFK, the UK, Heathrow, and Canada, are aggressively replacing their old 2D X-ray machines with new 3D CT, computed tomography scanners. The old X-rays just looked at the shape of items. These new CT scanners are basically medical-grade CAT scanners for your bag. They don't just look at shape. They analyze the density and the atomic number of the materials inside. They are programmed to look for specific density signatures that match explosives, things like plastic explosives, C4, or dense blocks of currency used for money laundering. When you take 10 cotton t-shirts and you compress them with hydraulic force into a solid, rock-hard brick inside a compression cube, you are fundamentally changing how that material appears to the scanner. To the machine's algorithm, that brick of cotton no longer looks like clothing. It looks like a dense, organic mass that it cannot penetrate or identify. When the scanner's AI cannot identify an object in 3D space because it is too dense, it has only one option. It triggers an alarm. It forces a manual resolve. I had a passenger on a flight from London to Seattle last year. Let's call him Mr. Davis. He was a retired engineer, very meticulous. He was so proud of how he packed. He had used compression cubes for everything. His carry-on was like a game of Tetris, packed solid. He went through security at Heathrow. His bag went into the new scanner. The belt stopped. Then it reversed. Then it stopped again. 3 agents converged on the screen. They called him over. "Sir, is this your bag?" They pulled out a rock-hard cube. It was his socks. 30 pairs of wool socks compressed into a block. To the CT scanner, it looked exactly like a block of organic explosive material. They took him to a side table. They made him unzip the compression zipper, which exploded open, sending socks flying everywhere. They then had to swab every single sock for explosive residue. He was there for 25 minutes, sweating, embarrassed, with his underwear on display for the whole terminal. He barely made the flight, and he was shaking when he boarded. You have to perform the squish test. Do not overstuff. If you have to sit on the cube to zip it shut, it is too dense. Once you have packed a cube, hold it in your hands. Try to squish it. Can you easily compress it by about 30% with just your hands? Does it feel soft and pliable, like a pillow? If yes, it is probably okay. If it feels like a brick, if you can knock on it and it makes a thud sound, you must unpack it. Remove 20% of the items. The scanner needs to be able to see air between the fibers of the clothing. This brings us to the second major issue, the material of the cube itself. Look at this cube. It's made of thick, durable nylon. It's solid color, maybe black, blue, or red. You cannot see what is inside it. Seniors love these because they feel sturdy. They last forever. And frankly, they hide our messy packing. We don't want everyone seeing our undergarments if we have to open our suitcase. Now, put yourself in the shoes of a TSA agent. They are staring at a screen for 8 hours a day, making split-second decisions that could save lives. Their primary tool is visual verification. They need to identify what an object is instantly. When a bag goes through the X-ray, the agent is looking at a ghostly image of your luggage. If they see a toothbrush, they know it's a toothbrush. If they see shoes, they know they are shoes. But when they see a solid, opaque rectangle that they cannot easily look through, their anxiety goes up. If there is anything at all, inside that cube that looks slightly unusual, maybe a metal belt buckle, a large piece of costume jewelry, a weirdly shaped souvenir, and it is inside an opaque bag that they cannot visually clear, they have no choice. Agents are trained on a protocol of when in doubt, open it out. An opaque container is doubt incarnate. It is a black hole in their vision. If a scanner flags an opaque cube in your carry-on, the agent must physically open your luggage. Here's the humiliating part that my passengers hate the most. They take your bag to the metal table. They put on blue rubber gloves. They pull out that black cube. They unzip it. And then, to ensure there is nothing hidden between the layers, they have to lift out your neatly folded clothes. They lay your bras, your panties, your undershirts out on that cold, dirty metal table for everyone in line behind you to see. I remember a lovely woman, Mrs. Albright, in her late 60s. She was flying to her granddaughter's wedding. She had her fancy shapewear, Spanx, and the like, packed in a solid black cube in her carry-on. The underwire in one of her garments caught the light just right on the X-ray. Because it was in an opaque cube, the agent couldn't just look at the screen and say, "Oh, it's a bra wire." They had to open it. There she was, a dignified woman, having a young male TSA agent hold up her shapewear and feel around the underwire while a line of business travelers watched. She was mortified. She told me later she felt violated. You must adopt the mesh to fabric ratio rule. If you own packing cubes that are 100% solid fabric with no see-through window, stop using them for air travel today. Use them for road trips or for organizing your closet at home. When buying new organizers, look for cubes that are at least 50% mesh on the top surface. Before you buy it, put your hand inside. If you can clearly see your hand and count your fingers through the mesh top, it is good. This allows the scanner and the human agent, if necessary, to identify the contents without having to unzip and rummage through your private items. Now let's talk about a very specific type of packing cube that is almost guaranteed to get you stopped. The electronics organizer, or what we in the industry call the tech taco. You have seen these. They are small, often padded pouches with lots of little elastic loops and pockets inside. We use them to hold our charging cables, phone chargers, power banks, international adapters, and maybe an extra camera battery. It seems so organized. Everything tech-related is in one neat little package. This is where the psychology of organization clashes directly with the psychology of bomb detection. What does an improvised explosive device, an IED, look like on an X-ray scanner? It looks like a power source, a battery, connected by wires to a trigger mechanism, like a small circuit board, and an explosive charge. Now think about what is inside your tech pouch. You have a power bank, a dense battery. You have charging cables, wires, coiled up next to it. You have wall adapters, which contain small circuit boards. When you bundle all of those things together tightly in a small pouch, you are essentially creating a replica of an IED on the X-ray screen. Wires on an X-ray screen appear as distinct blue or black lines. When wires are coiled or crisscrossed on top of a dense object like a battery pack, it creates what agents call clutter. Clutter is the enemy of speed. The scanner's software cannot easily trace where one wire starts and ends. It cannot confirm that the wire is just a USB cable and not a detonator wire connected to the battery block next to it. If the machine sees battery plus wires plus unknown dense object all overlapping in a confined space, it's an automatic, mandatory stop-the-line trigger. A frequent flyer on my route, a businessman named Alan, always carried a dense tech pouch in his briefcase. He was always running late. One day, he was rushing for a flight to Tokyo. He sent his bag through. The line stopped. The red lights flashed. The supervisor was called over. They ended up shutting down that entire security lane for 10 minutes while they carefully, slowly removed his pouch, took it to a specialized explosives trace detection (ETD) machine, and swabbed every single cable and battery. Alan missed his flight. But worse, he caused every single person behind him to be delayed by 10 minutes. The groans from the line were deafening. He was that guy at the airport. You must use the separation protocol for electronics. Do not put all your wires and batteries in one small, dense bag. Laptops and large tablets usually need to come out anyway, unless you have TSA pre-check and are in a compliant lane. Your portable charger/power bank is the most suspicious item. Never pack it next to coiled wires. Place it in a separate pocket of your bag, or better yet, pull it out and place it in the bin next to your phone. Instead of a tight pouch, use loose twists, ties, or Velcro straps to keep cables neat. and place them in a clear, flat layer in a mesh pocket of your backpack, so the scanner can easily read them as simple wires. If you take only one thing away from this video, let it be this. This is the mistake that sends passengers from the airport directly to the emergency room. It is the gate check trap. You've seen it. You're standing in the boarding lane, and the agent gets on the microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a full flight. Overhead bin space is full. We are forcing all roller bags to be checked at the gate. They come down the line, tagging bags aggressively. They are in a rush. They grab your carry-on, slap a tag on it, and throw it down the chute to the cargo hold. Here's what they don't tell you in that moment of panic. The new plane interiors being rolled out for 2026, often called space bins or sky interiors, are deceptively designed. While they hold more bags, the airlines are selling more tickets than ever before. They are intentionally overbooking bin space. But here is the dangerous part. The agent at the gate does not know what is in your bag. They assume it's just clothes. I will never forget Mr. Henderson. He was a sweet man, flying from Chicago to London. At the gate, the agent pressured him. "Sir, we need your bag now. People are waiting." Mr. Henderson felt bad. He handed over his carry-on. Inside that bag were his blood pressure medication and his CPAP machine for sleep apnea. 3 hours into the flight over the Atlantic, we hit turbulence. The stress triggered a hypertensive episode. He reached for his bag, and then he remembered. It was 30,000 feet below us in the cargo hold. We had to use the onboard emergency kit, which is basic. We nearly diverted the plane. When we landed, his bag didn't even arrive at the carousel. It had been misrouted to Frankfurt. He was in a foreign country, without his heart medication, for 48 hours. There is also a second danger: lithium-ion batteries. If you have a portable charger, an iPad, or a spare camera battery in that bag, and it goes into the cargo hold, it is a fire risk. If a battery catches fire in the cabin, we can extinguish it. If it catches fire in the cargo hold, it can bring down the plane. You must use the medical bag loophole. Under DOT, Department of Transportation regulations, and most international laws, medical devices and supplies do not count towards your carry-on limit. Do not pack your meds in your main carry-on. Pack them in a separate, small tote bag or a distinct colored pouch. When the agent reaches for your bag to gate check it, you physically pull that medical pouch out and hold it tight against your chest. You say, "I am removing my medical supplies and lithium batteries as per safety regulations." Do not ask for permission. Tell them. If they try to take the medical bag, you say, "This is exempt medical equipment. I require it on board." They will back off immediately. Now, let's talk about the paperwork. If you are holding a US passport and think you can just breeze into Europe like you did in 2018, stop. That world is gone. Two massive bureaucratic walls are hitting us simultaneously. First, for my American viewers flying domestically, Real ID, by May 2025 and fully enforced in 2026, your standard driver's license will not get you through TSA. If it doesn't have the black star in the corner, you are not flying, period. Second, and more confusing, ETIS, the European Travel Information and Authorization System. Airlines are terrified of this. If an airline accidentally lets you board a flight to Rome without an ETIS approval, the EU fines the airline thousands of euros per passenger. Because of this, the check-in agents are instructed to be ruthless. There is no letting it slide. I had a couple, the Millers, flying to celebrate their 50th wedding anniversary in Paris. They had their passports. They had their tickets. They showed up at the counter in New York. The agent asked, "Do you have your ETIS approval code?" They looked at each other. "What code? We're Americans. We don't need a visa." The agent shook her head. It's not a visa, it's a travel waiver, and it takes 72 hours to process. They were denied boarding, no refund, 50 years of marriage, and they spent their anniversary in a cab going back home. It costs roughly €7. It lasts for 3 years. This is crucial. If you Google ETS application, the first 5 results are often scams. They look like official government sites, but will charge you $80 instead of €7. Go look at your driver's license. Is there a star? If not, make a DMV appointment today. Only use the official website ending in .europa.eu. Write that down, .europa.eu. If the site ends in .com or .org, you are likely on a third-party site that is ripping you off. Apply at least 1 week before you fly. Do not do this at the airport. The system is automated. No human can speed it up for you. This topic makes my blood boil. It is the single most shameful part of modern aviation, the treatment of passengers who need wheelchair assistance. You request a wheelchair when you book your ticket. You think, great, the airline will take care of me. The people pushing the wheelchairs do not work for the airline. They work for third-party contractors, companies you have never heard of. These workers are often paid minimum wage, have high turnover, and are critically understaffed. The airline washes its hands of responsibility the moment you step off the plane. We landed in Atlanta last summer. It was hot. I had 5 passengers needing wheelchairs. The contractor only sent 2 pushers. Those 2 pushers took 2 passengers and left. 3 of my seniors were left sitting in the jet bridge, that accordion tunnel between the plane and the airport. It is not air-conditioned well. There are no bathrooms. The flight crew, us, had to leave to catch our next flight. The cleaners hadn't arrived yet. These passengers were stuck in the abandonment phase, a blind spot where no one is watching. One lady, Mrs. Gable, needed to use the restroom desperately. She tried to walk, fell, and fractured her wrist. Beyond the fall risk, there is the risk of DVT, deep vein thrombosis. Being forced to sit in a cramped aisle chair or a standard wheelchair for an extra hour after a long flight allows blood clots to form in the legs. You must use the squeaky wheel method. They always tell wheelchair passengers to wait until everyone else is off. If you have a connection or a medical need, politely decline. Remind the flight attendant, I have a tight connection/medical need. Please call the ramp again. It shouldn't be this way, but money talks. If you see a wheelchair attendant, have a $5 or $10 bill visible in your hand. It signals to them that you are a priority. They are overworked and underpaid. They will gravitate toward the person who values their time. If you are left waiting for more than 15 minutes, do not just sit there. Stop any uniformed employee, pilot, cleaner, gate agent, and say, I have been abandoned. Please radio the CRO, Complaint Resolution Official. Every airline is required by law to have a CRO on duty. That title scares them into action. Finally, let's talk about where you sit. You might think, I'll just buy the cheapest ticket, basic economy. I don't need fancy perks. This is a trap that can physically hurt you. Basic economy is not just a cheaper ticket. It is a restrictive contract designed to punish you. Airlines use algorithms to deliberately split up families who travel on basic economy to encourage them to pay for seat selection next time. If you and your spouse book basic economy, there is a 90% chance the computer will put one of you in row 34B, middle, and the other in row 12E, middle. They want you to be miserable. For a 25-year-old, a middle seat is annoying. For a 70-year-old, it is a health hazard. In a middle seat, you are boxed in. You are less likely to get up to stretch. This increases stiffness and blood clot risk. You will subconsciously stop drinking water because you don't want to ask the stranger in the aisle seat to move so you can use the bathroom. This leads to severe dehydration, which exacerbates jet lag and fatigue. I had a gentleman, Arthur, who had recently had hip surgery. He was in a middle seat. The person in the aisle seat fell asleep and was heavy. Arthur didn't want to wake him. He sat in one position for 6 hours. When we landed, Arthur physically could not stand up. His hip had locked. We had to call paramedics to lift him out of the seat. When you book, look for the single-letter code. Avoid E, N, or X, often basic economy. Look for M, H, Q, K, main cabin. If you have any mobility issues, you must book an aisle seat. Do not hope for the best. If you cannot afford the upgrade, go to the gate agent immediately upon arrival and say, "I have a medical requirement for aisle access due to mobility limitations." They are not required to move you for free, but if you frame it as a medical safety issue rather than a comfort issue, they will often swap you with a non-senior passenger. We have covered the check-in, the security, and the seating, but in the final part of this video, I'm going to reveal the hydration paradox, why the water you drink on the plane might be making you sick, and I will give you my final life-saving checklist for 2026.